Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
Okay, I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Picture this. You're walking into a hotel conference room. You know the kind. The air conditioning is just blasting. It's freezing.
Oh, I can feel the anxiety rising already. I know exactly where we are.
The lighting is that aggressive fluorescent buzz that makes everyone look a little tired. And everywhere, there are people in suits that don't quite fit, clutching, like lukewarm coffee.
And you see those tight little circles of people?
Yes. They're laughing a little too hard at jokes that clearly aren't funny, and your stomach just drops.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that cold sweat on your neck. Every instinct in your body is screaming at you to turn around, run out the door, and just go home.
It's the classic fight or flight response, except in this scenario, you can't really fight, so you just want to fly.
You want to fly because you know what you have to do. You have to walk up to a complete stranger, interrupt them, shake their hand, and somehow in 30 seconds convince them you're worthy of a job. It is, it's just the worst feeling. It is networking.
It really is such a loaded word, isn't it? We did that deep dive on public speaking a while back, and yeah, that's a huge fear. But I'd argue that for students or, anyone pivoting careers, networking triggers a much deeper, more visceral kind of ick.
That is the perfect word for it, the ick. It feels gross. It feels manipulative.
Totally.
And honestly, if you're someone who prides themselves on being authentic, which I think most of our listeners do, it feels like a betrayal of who you are. It feels fake.
It feels transactional, like you're treating people as, vending machines where you put in a compliment and a job pops out.
Exactly. But here's the problem, and it's why we are doing this today. We hate it. It makes us nauseous, but we also know, deep down, we have to do it. We can't just hide in the car.
That's the tension. And that is exactly why we're unpacking this specific article. It's by Keith Spencer, published on College Recruiter just recently, February 2, 2026. And the piece is called Networking Without Feeling Fake: How to Build Genuine Connections as a Student.
And I want to be clear about our mission today. This isn't a how to shake hands show. We are going to tell you to print more business cards.
Please, no.
We want to try and fundamentally rewire your brain, to dismantle that idea that networking is manipulation and replace it with something that actually feels human.
Which, frankly, sounds like a pretty tall order.
It does. But before we get to the solution, I think we have to stare the problem in the face. Spencer starts the article with a hard truth that I think a lot of us, especially as students, try desperately to ignore.
You're talking about the myth of meritocracy.
Right. I remember thinking, if I just get the 4.0 GPA, if I do every single extra credit assignment, if I work harder than everyone else, the opportunities will just magically appear. I wanted the world to be fair.
It's a beautiful idea. And look, credentials matter. We aren't saying you can just slack off.
Of course not.
But Spencer rips the Band-Aid off immediately. He says that despite how much we might wish for a world based solely on merit, the old adage is statistically true. It is not just what you know, it's who you know.
Which, can I just play devil's advocate for a second? That sucks.
Yeah.
It feels incredibly unfair. It feels like the system is rigged. Why can't my work just speak for itself?
I get that frustration, I really do. But let's try to look at it from the other side, from the hiring manager's perspective. It's not always about nepotism. It's about risk management.
Risk management. How so?
Okay, imagine you have an open role. You've got two piles of resumes. Pile A is full of total strangers. They look good on paper, sure, but you don't know if they're difficult to work with, if they're reliable.
Or if they lied on their CV.
Exactly. Pile B is people who come recommended by someone you trust. Someone you know says, hey, this person is smart, they're kind, they show up on time. Which pile do you look at first?
Pile B.
Okay.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Because a bad hire is terrifying.
It's expensive and it's painful. So the network is basically a trust filter. The challenge for us isn't how do we destroy the system. The challenge is how do you get yourself into pile B without losing your soul?
Okay, so how do I play the game without feeling like a slimy salesperson? And that brings us to the first big strategy in Spencer's article. He says the problem isn't your elevator pitch. The problem is your internal monologue.
He calls it reframing. See, most people go into a networking event with a sales mindset. You're thinking, I need a job, I need a favor, I have to impress this person.
Which puts a tremendous amount of pressure on you. You feel like you're on stage.
Huge pressure. And ironically, it makes you incredibly self-absorbed. You aren't actually listening to the other person. You're just scanning the room for targets, waiting for a pause so you can insert your pitch. And people can smell that desperation a mile away. It's repulsive.
So what's the alternative? If I'm not selling myself, what am I doing?
Spencer suggests flipping it to a curiosity mindset.
Curiosity.
Stop trying to sell. Start trying to learn. Instead of thinking, how do I get a job offer? You enter the room thinking, what can I learn from this person? What's their life like? How does this industry actually work?
I like that because it takes the spotlight right off of me.
Yeah.
I don't have to perform. I just have to be like an investigator.
Precisely. It turns the interaction into a customized masterclass. You aren't begging, you're gathering data. And here's the psychological hack that makes this work. People love talking about themselves.
They really, really do. Ask me about my dog and I'll talk for 20 minutes straight.
Exactly. So if you ask a professional, what's the biggest challenge you faced this year in supply chain logistics? They aren't thinking, oh, this student is trying to use me. They're thinking, wow, someone actually cares about my work. Finally, I want to tell them my war stories.
So you're leveraging their ego, but in a nice way.
In a human way. You're validating their expertise. You're making them feel heard. And that builds a connection faster than any polished speech ever could.
Okay, I'm with you on the curiosity. That feels way better. But I want to push back on this a little bit because even if I'm curious, I still feel like a leech.
A leech?
Yeah. I'm the student. They're the CEO. I'm taking their wisdom, their time, their advice. What can I possibly have to offer in return? It feels completely one-sided, and that makes me feel guilty.
That is the number one barrier students face, this kind of imposter syndrome about value. We think value only means I can offer you a business deal. But Spencer is very clear here. It's a two-way street, even when you are a total novice.
But how? I mean, what currency does a 20-year-old have for a 50-year-old executive?
You have more than you think. First, you have the currency of the current experience. Let's say you're talking to an alum from your university. They haven't been on campus in, 15 or 20 years?
Right.
They're often genuinely curious. Is that old coffee shop still there? What's the department focusing on now? Do students still hate that one professor?
That's true. You're the expert on modern campus life.
Exactly. You can transport them back to a time they look back on fondly. That is value.
Right.
But it goes deeper. You're a digital native in a way they aren't. You might have a perspective on a new trend, a new social media platform, or AI tools that they're struggling with.
So just by sharing what I'm seeing in the world, I might be teaching them something.
Yes. And honestly, the most underrated currency is just enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
The corporate world can be grinding. It breeds cynicism. Meeting a student who is genuinely wide-eyed and excited about the field, that's refreshing. It reminds them why they started in the first place. It's energetic currency.
So if I walk away with advice and they walk away feeling nostalgic or energized, that's a fair trade.
That is the transaction. It's emotional reciprocity.
Okay, so we fixed the mindset. We are curious, not salesy. We know we have value.
Yep.
But now we have to talk about who we are networking with. Because I think when I say network, most listeners imagine cold calling Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah. Or walking up to the keynote speaker at a giant conference.
Right.
Which is the hardest, scariest, and least effective way to do it. Spencer argues we are ignoring what he calls the invisible network.
The invisible network.
The people who are already right in front of your face. We tend to discount them because they don't feel fancy enough. We just don't think they count.
Who are we talking about here?
Professors, classmates, supervisors at your part-time job, the advisor of your student club, even your friend's parents. Spencer calls this the low-hanging fruit.
It's funny, we don't think of our professors as networking. We think of them as the people who grade us.
Right, who give us homework. But think about it practically. A professor is literally an expert in the field you want to enter. They have colleagues at other universities. They consult for companies. They have former students who are now hiring managers. They're a hub.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, most students only go to office hours to complain about a B-.
What I love about the Workforce Agility Limited series by Cornerstone was we talked to executives and customers all about skills. Skills. Cornerstone has a wonderful background in learning and development, training, etc. Their LMS is world class. but they've centered the business now, not just on that, like building upon that, but building upon how everything has moved to the skills economy. So check out the limited series called Workforce Agility, and you can get it wherever you get your podcast. And it's just a wonderful series where we talk to their executives on the shift of why, and also their customers that are using it. So check it out whenever you get a chance. Appreciate it.
Guilty. I only went when I was in trouble.
Right. But imagine if you went to office hours just to talk. Hey, I love that lecture on game theory. Can we talk more about how that applies to the current market? You're building a relationship with a champion.
That feels way less scary than approaching a stranger. But what about classmates? That one feels weird to me. Networking with the guy I sit next to in biology, we're both broke students. What's the point?
The point is the timeline. You're both broke students now. But in 5 years, that person might be a lead engineer at a startup. In 10 years, they might be a founder.
It's investing in the future.
It is. Spencer makes a really interesting point about redefining networking actions. We think networking is a cocktail party, but he says helping a classmate study for a test, that's networking.
Really? Helping someone study is networking.
Absolutely. Think about what you're demonstrating. You are showing you're reliable, you're competent, you're showing that you aren't selfish. If that classmate gets a job at a great firm in 3 years and sees your resume, they aren't going to think, oh, that's the guy who gave me a business card. They're going to think, oh, that's the person who saved my butt during finals week. I want to work with them.
That takes the pressure off completely. It's just being a good peer.
Exactly. Be a decent human being to the people around you, and the network builds itself.
Okay, but let's say we've tapped out the invisible network. We're cool with our professors. We're helping our classmates. Eventually, we do have to leave the bubble. We have to reach out to people we don't know. This is where the rubber meets the road.
The cold outreach. The part everyone dreads.
The slide into the DMs or the LinkedIn in-mail. This is where I just freeze up. I stare at the blinking cursor and I have no idea what to type. I feel like anything I say is going to sound like spam.
This is where Spencer is incredibly tactical, which I love. He gives us a specific formula. But first, he gives us one golden rule. If you're emailing a stranger, do not, under any circumstances, ask for a favor in the first message.
So no, hi, here's my resume. Do you have any openings?
No.
Here.
Delete. Block. That is spam.
Why is that so bad? I mean, isn't it better to be direct?
It's about social capital. You haven't earned the right to ask for a withdrawal because you haven't made a deposit yet. It's like proposing marriage on the first date.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It's just too much, too fast.
So what do we do instead? How do we break the ice without being creepy?
We aim for a low-pressure conversation. Spencer outlines a 4-step formula for this email, and it's simple enough that you can literally use it today.
Okay, walk us through it. Step 1.
Step 1. Introduce yourself briefly. Hi, I'm a junior at X University studying Y. Keep it really short.
Simple. Step 2.
Step 2 is where most people fail. Specificity. Explain specifically what caught your eye about their work, and this needs to be real. Not, I love your company.
Yeah, that just sounds like a bot wrote it. I love insert company name.
Right. It has to be, I read your recent article on sustainable packaging solutions, or I saw the marketing campaign you led for Brand X, and I loved how you handled the social media aspect. It proves you did your homework.
Okay, so intro, then specific compliment proof of work. Step 3.
Step 3, connect your curiosity. Share what you want to learn. I'm fascinated by how supply chains are adapting to climate regulations, and I'd love to understand how you approach that in your recent project.
And then they ask.
Step 4, a tiny, specific request. Do not ask for an hour to pick your brain. Picking your brain sounds painful and time-consuming.
It really does. Who has an hour for a stranger?
Nobody. Ask for the answer to one question over email. Or, if you're feeling bold, ask for a 15-minute virtual coffee.
15 minutes, that feels manageable. I can do 15 minutes.
Exactly. It's low stakes. It's easy for them to say yes to. And remember, the goal isn't to get a job offer in this email. The goal is just to get a reply.
Just open the door.
Just open the door.
Okay, so let's say this works. I sent the email. It was specific. It was humble. They said yes. Now I'm on the Zoom call. The camera turns on and is grabbing around. Awkward silence.
The danger zone.
Start talking about the weather. How is it over there? Oh, it's raining. Yeah, raining here too. And suddenly I feel like I'm wasting their time. I can almost see them checking their watch.
Spencer calls small talk the enemy of connection.
The enemy.
Small talk is where the fake feeling lives. It's just filler. If you want to move past the ick, you have to move past the weather immediately.
But how do you just jump into deep stuff with a stranger? Isn't that a little intense?
You use the question toolkit. You prepare questions beforehand that require stories, not one-word answers.
Okay, give us some examples from the toolkit. What should I be asking?
One of my favorites from the article is, how did your college experience influence your career?
Oh, that's smart. Why do you think that works so well?
Well, it takes them back to when they were in your shoes. It makes them nostalgic. It levels the playing field a bit.
Right. It humanizes them. And it prompts a story.
Totally. Another good one is, what do you wish students today understood better about the field?
Ooh, I love that one because it positions them as the expert. It lets them vent a little bit, maybe, or just share some insider knowledge you can't get from a textbook.
And it gives you incredible intel. They might say, I wish students knew how to use Excel better. Boom! Now you know exactly what skill to go learn next week.
That's so actionable.
One more. What unexpected challenges have you faced?
That cuts right through the LinkedIn highlight reel. Everyone looks perfect on LinkedIn.
It gets to the reality of the job. These questions shift the dynamic from an interrogation to a narrative. And when you share stories, that's how humans bond. That's how you stop being applicant #45 and start being that insightful student I chatted with.
Okay, so the call went well. We laughed. We learned. We avoided the weather. We say goodbye. Now, I feel like this is where 90% of people just drop the ball.
The drop-off is massive here.
You hang up, you feel relieved it's over, and you never talk to them again.
Which is a tragedy, because Spencer emphasizes that the conversation is just the start of the relationship. The real connection happens in the follow-up.
And we don't just mean a thank you note, right?
A thank you note is the bare minimum. It's table stakes. If you want to stand out, you need to do something Spencer calls closing the loop.
Closing the loop. What does that look like in practice?
Okay, imagine during the call they recommended a book, where they suggested you check out a specific software, or told you to listen to a podcast.
Got it. I write that down.
Most people just nod and forget. The networking pro actually goes and reads the book. And then, this is the magic key, they email the person 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
Yes. You send an email saying, hey, I read that book you mentioned, and chapter 3 really helped me figure out my thesis project. Thank you so much for the recommendation.
Wow. That's powerful.
Think about how that feels to the person who gets it. It proves you are actually listening. It proves you value their opinion enough to act on it. It proves you are a person of action.
And it validates them. It makes them feel like a good mentor.
Exactly. It makes them feel good about themselves. And suddenly, you aren't annoying them. You are the person who actually listens. That is how you turn a one-time coffee chat into a long-term advocate.
It seems so simple, but it requires organization. You have to actually do the homework. You can't just fake it.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most difficult part of Spencer's advice, the timeline.
The long game.
We live in an instant gratification world. We want to send the email on Tuesday and get the job on Friday.
And when that doesn't happen, we get discouraged. We think, see, networking doesn't work. I tried.
But networking is like farming, not hunting. You don't plant a seed and eat the fruit the next day. You have to water it. You have to wait.
Spencer says strong networks aren't built overnight. It takes small, consistent steps.
And it requires resilience. Because the truth is, and we need to be honest about this, you will get ghosted. You will send that perfect email with the specific compliment and the low-pressure ask, and you will get silence.
And that doesn't mean you failed.
No. It means people are busy. It means their inbox is on fire. It has nothing to do with you. You have to have the resilience to shrug it off and try again with someone else.
It's a numbers game, but a numbers game played with empathy.
Beautifully put. He also mentions a resource, by the way, for people who want to really get into the weeds, a guide by FlexJobs on professional networking. So if you want more templates and details, that's a place to look.
Good to know.
But ultimately, all the templates in the world won't work if you don't have that core philosophy right. Give more than you take.
That's the antidote to the ick, isn't it? If you're focused on giving gratitude, giving attention, giving enthusiasm, you can't be manipulative.
You just can't. Because manipulation is about taking. Connection is about sharing.
So let's wrap this up. We started with the nausea, the cold sweat, the feeling that networking is fundamentally fake.
And we've seen that it doesn't have to be. If you start with curiosity instead of sales, if you look at the invisible network around you, if you send low-pressure specific messages, And if you close the loop, it actually becomes something else entirely.
It becomes community building.
It's an insurance policy for your career, but one made of friends and mentors.
So here is our challenge to you, the listener. We want you to take one small step today. We aren't asking you to email the CEO of Google.
Please don't start there. That's the advanced level.
We want you to reach out to one person in your invisible network. Maybe a professor you liked last semester. Maybe a former supervisor from a summer job. Maybe that friend who graduated a year ahead of you.
Just check in. Send them a link to an article that reminded you of them. Ask how their new job is going. No ask. No resume attached. Just a human touch point.
See how it feels. See if the ick is there. I bet it won't be.
It might even feel nice.
Imagine that, networking, feeling nice.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one thought to chew on. We spend so much time demonizing transactional relationships. We always say, don't be transactional.
Right, we want authentic, not transactional.
But I wonder, if you truly treat people like humans, if you approach them with genuine curiosity and respect, does the transaction disappear? Or does it just evolve?
What do you mean by that?
Well, maybe the transaction isn't, I give you this compliment, you give me a job. Maybe the transaction becomes, we both give each other growth. Maybe the ultimate transaction is mutual evolution.
So being transactional isn't the enemy, as long as the currency is human connection.
Something to think about.
That is a deep thought for a Tuesday. Thanks for diving in with us. Go send that text. We'll see you next time.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.